today's piece is about a new whistleblower who has come forward and has written a report. And this is somebody that is either in government or is a government contractor. I've interviewed this person multiple times in person. I've checked their credentials. They are who they say they are. They have written a report and provided it to members of Congress. And in that report, they claim that that the Pentagon is illegally withholding information from Congress about a secret UAP program.
Veteran journalist Michael Schellenberger released a report and went on the Joe Rogan podcast saying there's a new whistleblower, UAP UFO whistleblower, insider information, terrified person, releasing the name of an unacknowledged special access program. Welcome to the channel. I was an F-16 pilot for 18 years, so I'm here to give my take on what this could be. Could it be possible? And will we find out in the November 13 hearings? Chris Lehto, welcome to LehtoFiles. So this is Michael Schellenberger. He's on the Joe Rogan podcast. And really, why is he talking now? He hasn't spoken out about the UAP topic since last year. You may have seen him if you watched my channel. Schellenberger was investigating nuclear energy, essentially. And that led him across these UAP programs. He said there was dozens of whistleblowers, and he said that he's met with many of these people. They're scared, they're terrified. And they claim under serious threat and to no real benefit to themselves that the government, the U.S. government, Department of Defense, elements of it at least, are hiding UAP technology, hiding the knowledge of alien visitation, or at least some sort of amazing extraterrestrial or interdimensional life, or something that we would term as another type of life. Shellenberger has reported on this in the past. He's been quiet for a while. The whole UAP topic has been quiet over the whole summer. It seems like the last 8 months have been in the doldrums ever since Arrow came out with their report back in March. But now it's heating up again. And November 13th, we will have hearings with Nancy Mace, who I was very impressed with at the last hearing back in 2023, July 2023. She was very knowledgeable on the topic. And according to Ask a Poll I covered here, you can look at my previous videos, she will be heading up the November 13 hearing. And as she talks about and says bluntly, she wants to have some people who've seen some shit, is what she said. And that's what you want, someone blunt. We need open transparency. So this is coming November 13th. And more than likely, or hopefully, we will see the actual whistleblower, from public website. This is Michael Schellenberger's actual release of the information on October 8th, 2024. Pentagon is illegally hiding secret UFO program from Congress, whistleblowers allege. New government whistleblower reveals for the first time the name of the unacknowledged special access program for unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAPs. So as an F-16 pilot, I may or may not have been read into unacknowledged programs. So let's look into this. Quite interesting is, where did these come from? Where did USAPs actually come from? Unacknowledged special access programs. And what exactly is an unacknowledged special access program? Okay, so this is all just from Wikipedia, right? So special access programs in the U.S. federal government are security protocols that provide highly classified information with safeguards and access restrictions that exceed those for regular classified information. SAPs can range from black projects to routine but especially sensitive operations such as ComSec, communication security maintenance, or presidential transportation support. In addition to collateral controls, a SAP may impose more stringent investigative or educative requirements, specialized non-disclosure agreements, special terminology or markings, exclusion from standard contract investigations, and centralized billet systems. Within the Department of Defense, SAP is better known as SAR by the mandatory special access required markings. That's how you would label a SAP program is SAR, top secret or SAR. And when David Grush goes into all of his discussion on these SAPs, unacknowledged, bigoted SAP, meaning it doesn't have to be reported to Congress, right? Some things are unacknowledged, meaning the government and its people will lie about it with cover stories. An unacknowledged SAP is a black SAP, meaning if you ask someone who's been read into an unacknowledged SAP if it exists, they will say no. Under threat of torture, they will say no. So where did it come from? March 22, 1940, shortly before America's involvement in World War II, Franklin Roosevelt signs Executive Order 8381. So all this stuff comes from World War II, creating 3 security levels for his country's most important documents: restricted, confidential, and secret. After the war, President Truman issues Executive Order 10104 and creates top secret classification designation. So they add a 4th level. But then in 1953, Dwight D. Eisenhower issues his own executive order, which drops the restricted classification level. But now the Pentagon responds by creating its own special access labels to further insulate classified information from outside influence. So I thought it was quite interesting that the Pentagon itself created the special access program. Isn't that interesting? It wasn't created by executive order. It was created by the Pentagon. In March 1972, in Executive Order number 11652, non-criminal Richard Nixon legitimizes the use of special access controls, and the special access program is finally made official. So if you want to know, after the Kennedy assassination, just so happens the next guy in, Nixon, who's done many sketchy things, obviously legitimizes special access program. So it was actually created by the Pentagon, right? Not executive order, and then legitimized by Nixon after the assassination of Kennedy, right? The timing is amazing. And as far as SAPs, 2 types of SAPs exist: acknowledged and unacknowledged. The existence of an acknowledged SAP may be publicly disclosed, but the details of the program remain classified. This is why the name is important. In the interview with Joe Rogan, Schellenberger says after he releases the name, he will most likely be under surveillance because he's released the name of an unacknowledged SAP. An unacknowledged SAP, or USAP, is made known only to authorized persons, including members of the appropriate committees of the United States Congress. Waived SAPs are a subset of unacknowledged SAPs in the Department of Defense. So a waived SAP. These SAPs are exempt by statutory authority of the Secretary of Defense from most reporting requirements. So a waived SAP, that's what David Grush was talking about, these bigoted lists. Within the legislative branch, the only persons who are required to be informed of said SAPs are the chairpersons and ranking committees of the Senate Appropriations Committee, Senate Armed Services Committee, House Appropriations Committee, and House Armed Services Committee. Oftentimes, this notification is only oral. But even these unacknowledged SAPs have to be briefed to the Gang of 8, if you will, select members of Congress, like we mentioned there. The chairpersons, ranking committee members of these Appropriations Committee, Armed Services Committee. And if we look back at who shot down the actual UAP Disclosure Act, it was Mike Turner, right? The heads of these committees. That's who actually shot it down. So was Michael Turner given actual oral read into this unacknowledged SAP, alleged unacknowledged SAP? And like I said at the beginning, unacknowledged SAP means unacknowledged SAP, meaning under threat of torture, you will not acknowledge it. Name, rank, and serial number. You're definitely not going to talk about any unacknowledged programs, meaning government people will be told to lie, which I always thought was very interesting when you talk about integrity first, service before self, excellence in all we do, which is the Air Force motto. But if it comes down to something national security related, going to lie under all threat of torture, whatever else it takes. That is an unacknowledged SAP, meaning it's unacknowledged. Those are black programs. That's how it works. Let's get back to the release of a new whistleblower revealing the name of an unacknowledged special access program, USAP, meaning no one who is asked will admit that it's real and could actually give disinformation or misinformation. Shellenberger claims that this whistleblower, terrified person coming forward because of David Grush, highlights this program is all about unidentified anomalous phenomena, and we'll learn about it shortly. Shellenberger says, one of Congress's most important responsibilities is oversight of the executive branch in general and the military and intelligence community in particular. The first article of the United States Constitution specifies this responsibility. So that's quite interesting. How do you give this information of unacknowledged SAPs, right? They're not supposed to tell anyone. And now we're going to tell elected officials. Seems very difficult for a defense community that's been brought up not to give this information under threat of torture or death. This role ensures that powerful governmental entities operate within the bounds of the law, uphold democratic principles, and remain accountable to the American people. This is very important, accountable to the American people. And it's not an easy situation, right? How do you remain accountable to the American people, but also safeguard the nation's critical secrets? As David Grush said many times before, there have been many programs that he's been aware of that have not reached the light of day. So the government is capable of keeping secrets. But like he also said, the UAP reality, I guess, has leaked like a sieve. He said that this has leaked repeatedly. And really what's kept the lid on is disinformation, misinformation campaigns, as well as just continually denying. If they hold all the hard evidence, where are you going to get any evidence? Steal all the hard evidence, where are you going to get any evidence? This responsibility extends to classified programs like special access programs. By law, the Department of Defense must notify the Gang of Eight, the chairpersons and ranking members of the House and Senate Intelligence Committees, and the majority and minority leaders of the House and Senate, and/or the relevant congressional committees about their existence. The National Security Act of 1947, which created many agencies, including the CIA, the NSA, the Air Force, requires that covert operations and compartmentalized access programs by intelligence agencies, including the military intelligence community, be reported to Congress. Specifically, the president must provide a written finding that justifies covert action and submit it to the House and Senate Intelligence Committees. While the military and intelligence community may limit the amount of details shared with Congress, the constitutional and legal responsibility remains. Sunshine remains the best disinfectant. Readers are, of course, welcome to disbelieve the whistleblowers and the evidence they provide of UAPs. I do not claim to know what they are. There is, however, a growing body of evidence that the government is not being transparent about what it knows about UAPs, and that elements within the military and intelligence community are in violation of their constitutional duty to notify Congress of their operations. The Pentagon responded to this article after it was published. I've attached the full response at the bottom of the story. Okay, the full story is actually under paid subscription, so you actually have to pay to see all the data as well as the Pentagon's response. But basically, the Pentagon responded and said that they've never heard of any program named by that, which is exactly what you would say if someone asked you if there's a unacknowledged SAP. That's what you would say. This is why it's very difficult, right? Transparency is the best disinfectant. Sunshine is the best disinfectant. What we need is transparency. I think it's tearing our country apart is the lies, the disinformation, the misinformation. We need open communication, respect for other people out there. Realize that we're all on this planet together. Realize that we all should love each other. We don't need to hate each other. I know that sounds ridiculous, but hopefully we can get there. Okay, finally from the article. And now, existing and former U.S. government officials have told members of Congress that ARROW and the Pentagon have broken the law by not revealing a significant body of information about UAPs, including military intelligence databases that have evidence of their existence as physical craft. One of these individuals is a current or former U.S. government official acting as a UAP whistleblower. The person has written a report that says the executive branch has been managing UAP, non-human intelligence issues without congressional knowledge, oversight, or authorization for some time, quite possibly decades. And this is what everyone in the UFO community has been saying for decades, right? We've had whistleblowers coming out for decades. And what do? Deny, deny, deny. There's no evidence. Meanwhile, they could just be quietly, covertly scooping up the evidence, which has been claimed through Men in Black programs. If you've been lying about something for decades in order to protect at fear of torture or death, are you really just going to come out and say it now? Especially if it highlights all the terrible things that have been done in the name of protecting this program. Are you really just going to come out and say it right away? Or are you going to wait 4 days and reply back with an answer that says, no, we've never heard of that USAP, never heard of that name. Furthermore, these individuals have revealed the name of an active and highly secretive DoD Unacknowledged Special Access Program, or USAP. The source of the document told public that the USAP is a strategic intelligence program that is part of the U.S. military's family of long-standing, highly sensitive programs dealing with various aspects of the UAP problem. Public is revealing its name here for the first time. Okay, this post is for paid subscribers, so please support Michael Schellenberger and sign up. I should as well. As we'll see shortly on the Joe Rogan podcast, Michael Schellenberger says that this man is terrified, as well as the other whistleblowers, because there is not enough whistleblower protection. Releasing any information about an unacknowledged special access program, I would imagine, is terrifying. Okay, again, under threat of torture and death. How do you even keep that information secret? I would assume the best way to keep it secret is to just never think about it. Try and remove the information from your brain. My guess is that would work the best. But coming out and actually revealing the name and details of an unacknowledged special access program, I think would be terrifying. And in this case, I think highly heroic from whoever this whistleblower is. And as Shellenberger says, he was inspired by David Grush and the heroism of David Grush, who came under many personal attacks. Immediately had journalists looking into his background. He was attacked through lawfare, basically bureaucratic attacks, bureaucratic terrorism, as David Grush called it. So I would say it's just terrifying for this man. So let's see more details from an excellent interview on Joe Rogan.
But
it's weird.
It's weird.
So
I want to stress, because my critics always use this to try to discredit me. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I just don't know what it is. And so
anybody who says they do know what it is, I get very suspicious.
Yeah.
If they say I have all the information, I'm like, how could you?
Yeah.
How could you? How do you absolutely know what it is? This whole thing is real weird. It's real weird when fighter pilots recognize things that are behaving in a way that they've never seen before. When you've got these guys like, Grush is the best example, but there was another pilot, there was another jet that was with him. There's multiple witnesses that saw this thing physically. Whatever these things, Brian Graves, when they see these things, like, what are these? What are they? What's the explanation?
Right.
It's got to be somebody's. If it's a real thing, if it's ours, holy shit. Like, what are they doing? And if it's not ours, holy shit.
Right.
Is this another nation? And if it's not another nation, then holy shit. Are we getting visited by interdimensional beings or from something from another planet? Like, what's your take?
I thought it was funny. Joe says, anyone that says they know what this is, he's highly skeptical of. And then at the end of this interview, he gives a really good soliloquy saying that he believes it is aliens from other planets or interdimensional beings, a definite non-human intelligence. So Joe does say that it is non-human intelligence, most likely beings from other planets, other dimensions interacting with us. And they've been here for eons, maybe as long as we've actually been here. So he does say kind of what he thinks it is, which is interesting. Let's hear what Shellenberger says.
What I wrote today and what I feel confident to say is
just keep those glasses on. It makes you look smarter.
I'll take all the help I can get. Today's piece is about a new whistleblower who has come forward and has written a report. And this is somebody that is either in government or is a government contractor. I've interviewed this person multiple times in person. I've checked their credentials. They are who they say they are. They have written a report and provided it to members of Congress. And in that report, they claim that that the Pentagon is illegally withholding information from Congress about a secret UAP program.
Okay, so that right there is blockbuster information. So we've been asking, who are these new whistleblowers? Mentioned 40 plus, 50 plus whistleblowers. That's what David Grush has talked about. Who are these people and where is the additional information? And as Shellenberger says here, this guy is legit. He's given the actual information, the report of database inside the government of this unacknowledged SAP program, and he's given that information to members of Congress. So surely Nancy Mace has that report. surely other people in Congress have that information. Again, releasing anything about an unacknowledged SAP is highly against DoD policy, meaning you will go to jail. And I think they even threaten death penalty, essentially, for act of treason. Definitely considered an act of treason. And we are trained to keep that information secret against torture or death. But this information aligns with everything David Grush said, that there is a secret program, that it has been kept quiet, meaning it's not being reported to Congress through these intricate, bigoted lists, these waived lists that come from the nuclear industry, basically from nuclear weapons. You don't want to give out information, obviously, about nuclear weapons. Anyone could build a nuke out there or destabilize the entire world, make it very dangerous. It's more dangerous than it already is. So that's what David Grush says, is that this information is kept secret under the guise of being nuclear material, etc. So this is in alignment with everything else that's come out. Nothing has really changed from the actual argument from the whistleblowers, right? What has changed is the information coming from programs like Arrow, which Michael Schellenberger says just outright that Arrow has broken the law. Arrow is lying and keeping information, again, secret. Why? In order to protect critical information.
That secret UAP program is considered a parent program of other programs, but it's called Immaculate Constellation. I was told I had it confirmed by a second source that this is the name. I also was told that if we revealed the name, that we would probably get under surveillance by simply revealing the name. I went to the Pentagon with the story on Friday. Today is Tuesday. They told me on Friday they couldn't get it to me. They couldn't get me a response by the end of Friday. They asked if I could wait until Monday. I said, sure. They said, Monday morning, we'll get your response. No response. They said, hopefully later today. Nothing later today. Then they said, how about tomorrow morning? Finally, that's today. So we gave them 4 full days. I found the Pentagon's response odd. Because,
what was the response?
Because first of all, because they said they were going to respond and they didn't. And
so they never responded.
They never responded. I emailed the spokesperson and said, if you give me a response, I'll publish it. But I mean, it could have been like, no, we don't have a program like that. They describe one case of an F-22, which is an amazing fighter jet, being escorted by a set of UAP orbs out of its target mission area. Another case of a UAP declining from very high up in the atmosphere and coming right over an aircraft carrier that the entire crew saw. So some incidents that have not been reported. The report is in the hands of members of Congress, and this is a critical time because, again, if you are a skeptic, if you're a debunker, whatever, you should not want the government spreading disinformation on this. If you want to get to the bottom of it, we should get to the bottom of it. We need Congress to hold hearings. And then the other pitch I'd make on this issue is that these people that I'm interviewing, if they're actors, they're incredible because they are genuinely terrified when I talk to them. They're genuinely scared. Most actors aren't very good actors. So I'm always like, these guys are the greatest actors I've ever met, these people. So they need better whistleblower protections. And if you interview congressional staffers, members of Congress, they will acknowledge that whistleblowers do not have proper protections, whether for UAPs or anything else.
That's the program. Immaculate Constellation. That's the alleged unacknowledged special access program. We have at least one whistleblower coming out to say, here is the report, actually gave the report with the information to members of Congress. It's highly probable that Nancy Mace has a copy of that report. It's also highly probable that we will hopefully meet this whistleblower, see who he is, this courageous individual who's coming out at serious risk to himself or herself. And they hopefully come out at the November 13 hearings. They've had several weeks now, full month to prep for that. So I'm very excited for these November 13 hearings. Unfortunately, I won't be there. I'll actually be in Egypt going on the Transcendence of Consciousness tour with allegedly Ross Coulthart, although he may skip it in order to be at these hearings. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually skipped it. But my guess is also he didn't have to pay to go on this tour, whereas I've already paid quite a bit of money. And as a YouTuber, lower end YouTuber, I don't make enough, okay, to actually just do whatever I want. Okay, I still have to support my family. And it costs a lot to travel around and actually investigate this stuff. And there are a lot of YouTubers now, excellent YouTubers in the space, which is great. I'm very happy to see all the additional YouTubers out there, excellent channels, but it makes it more difficult and obviously taxes the smaller YouTubers like myself and the other channels out there to make this possible and keep bringing this content to you guys. So please consider supporting the channel in any way you can. But just being here is support enough. Thank you. Please hit the like button if you did like this video. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you for watching. Please hit the like button. Really helps the channel. Consider subscribing. And a special thanks to all my patrons on patreon.com/Chris Lehto. This trip to Hessdalen could not be possible without them, as well as YouTube members. Thank you so much. And please consider helping the channel. Again, couldn't be possible without your support. And in November, I'll be going on this, The Transcendence of Consciousness, Ancient Egypt Uncovered with Nick Cook, JP Haig, Mohammed Ibrahim, and Ross Coulthart, actually. Thanks again to patrons. Could not do it without you guys. And I will give up-to-the-date, real-time information on patreon.com/Chris Lehto. So again, please sign up. Thanks again. Have a great day. Peace.